Okay, last time we come up with some characters or things that are as I'm told how our creation story begins. I know there are some others who are doing the creation story as they were told, or maybe as they read the book. There are a lot of books out now for Lakota creation, like Lakota Myth, Sons of the Wind, and others. But they're all, the characters are put in a different level. So you will hear creation stories in sometime in a different way, but they all correlate. You know, they all have the same meaning and understanding of a Lakota creation story. And this is how I heard it, bedtime stories, and that's how I'm going to put it. Okay, you will hear some other creation stories that is told to them, or in the beginning we have or ha, okay, and it becomes ha happy. I'm pretty sure you read it why ha was brought back. And then we have Ia is the creator. From his blood everything is created. Created Manka Gee. Shka later on become the source. Is the source of movement, Shka. And then we was created. And they began to create another companion. As time goes on, Wakia was created by Akha created Unk. Shka created Tate. We created Win. W-I-N is a female. And from that, Wakia, we have the Heokas. And from that, he had a dog. I think I explained that. Then Manka found out was more beautiful, so she cast her out into the sea. Okay, Tate, what there we have? Wochpe, as some call it, or Wochpe. Okay, the law. Okay, there are 16 spirits that is important when the Pte Oyate came out into this physical world. And that's why we usually have 16 whenever a medicine man have the ceremonies. Usually 16 spirits usually come in. And you can also tell how many tobacco ties around that altar. Sometimes 75 or 405. That's how many spirits that will come in and to do the ceremony. Okay, and so 16 is important. Even in one hand we have 16 joints. Okay, Lakota people believe that. We have 16 joints in one hand, and if you count your toes and your hands, there's 16. Okay, so 16 is very important part of the numbering in Lakota life. We have 16 pole for Tipi, 16 for Inipi, so everything is in that attributed to the spirits that we have, 16 of them. Okay. And so we're this far into our class as how the spirits were, and they say this is under the Black Hills. These are things happening and that's our place of birth, Otiwota, and under the Black Hills. We came out through the Wind Cave, and I'm pretty sure others have come out of different parts of the Black Hills, but our story is that we came out of the Wind Cave. And every Lakota people knew that, so our birthplace is, as we come out, origin is from the Wind Cave as Lakota people. There are other tribes that came out of other places, as they know, like Mayans, they came out of the volcano, and some other tribe came out of, lakes or whatever, as they remember in the third part when the Pangea started, when the continent split third time, and people come out into what area they are. And some of them trying to remember their creation stories. So other cultures have their own beginnings as they remembered, but we remember we came out of the Black Hills in the United States here, and this is where we are. Of course, the scientists are saying that we come out of that BS story they have, Bering Strait. They say we come across there. And you can do your own research at the Bering Strait. It's it's a tundra, it's always blizzard, and 40, 50 mile an hour wind, and you need at least about 30 days of food to come across that strait into this area. And it's harsh times, I don't know how they would manage, but they say we crossed that bridge, that natural bridge that raises from Alaska, connected to the Russian area, and they say we cross that bridge and come into this area. We come along the coastline and finally settle here. And some say we come from North Carolina, Ohio. But Lakota people were nomads, so they traveled to 4 directions. And in the 1400s, they were coming back from the eastern seaboard, and that's when they found that, the 1400s were coming back from eastern seaboard through Minnesota and those area. In about 1776 or something, in that area, we came back into the plains area and back to the Black Hills. Okay. And so we journey to the Four Corners, and we brought some stuff from the Four Corners back to the tribes that were here. We usually left the tribe here to guard the Black Hills, but in due time, some other tribes came in. When the whole tribe came in, they usually chased them away from the Black Hills. And so they say it's a one-day horseback ride from the Black Hills, Pine Ridge to the Black Hills, 3 days here, Cheyenne River, about 4 days, Phalange around in that area too. So we always live close to the Black Hills in that area. And in the fall, they journey back to the Black Hills for shelter or whatever, and they began the winter season. And so we're in a third area, and I've explained before that how it come to the third phases of Humankind. And we're in the fourth phases, but we don't know when it will happen. I know Monka is sending out signals once again. Nobody pay attention to it. We may go into the fourth phase, another cleansing of Monka, and then maybe another another way of life may appear. Okay. Anyway, so Unk was cast into the waters And she began her own. And he was there, and there's Iya, and there was Ganesh, and Sapela. So they have their own dominion in the water when that happened. It takes time, but you know how Manka wants what she wanted. But Ian was now scattered all over because he used all the power he had through the blood, and we drained himself. He scattered throughout the whole world. The only time, and it's still working, when you go to Inipi, the rocks that are heated, and he's still alive. It generates energy to those who participate in that sweat or Inipi. Because he's still around, still alive, and still giving us energy, creating energy for us so that we can continue. In your story, as you read, you know, how things changes in the spirit world, you know. But sometimes you really do need to read into it and take it apart, because there are some influences of other institutions, like religion or missionary, and like the white fruit. It might be in a book, I don't know. How the white fruit was eaten by Iya, and that's how the communication between the spirits and the Pteoyate was cut off. You know, they're no longer able to communicate with the spirit as they used to, as a spirit of the Pteoyate. They call us Pteoyate. Pte means Ptayela, group. So we're a group of people. That's why they call us Pte. A long time ago, they only used one syllable in speaking. And that's why, so when you go to a ceremony, when the spirits come in, they talk real fast, because they use only one syllable in their conversation. But as time progresses, we add some consonants and letters and come up with words that are different from the time when we're in a spirit world, okay? To make a difference, so that we're not going to understand, we're not going to understand the spirits, okay? Only a Ieska, interpreter. Ieska means interpreter. So they are elected to talk with the spirit. You know how in your reading, I'm sure you noticed that one of the person was elected to be a spokesman, Ieska, for the Pteoyate, when they no longer communicate with the spirit. And so that's how, when the Pteoyate come into this physical world, and that's now the criteria of the medicine man, as we call them today, okay? Hochoka Yuha, or we call them Ieskas. I think today we use the Ieska in a different form, but a long time ago it means translator or interpreter for the Pteoyate. And so now they're merging, I usually call them negative forces. And they're still with us today. And things that happen usually attribute to the negative forces that exist at the time in the under the Black Hills. And of course we know that Wopre and Xa, the wisdom, always come together and come up with things that will be made more easier when they spirits come together at the Black Hills. They usually have a meeting and they take care of their needs, and so they come up with food, language, taste, and songs for them at that time. And so when the communication was cut off with the Pteoyate, they're now not in a realm of the spiritual thing, but away from. They're different, Pteoyate. And it was caused by the negative forces, okay? Usually either Sapila or Ganesh would be the tormentors of the positive spirit. I usually call them that. And so there are many things that are attributes to our way of life today, okay? And and we have symbolic things that, confront whatever the negative forces throws at the physical beings here in this Unchimanka. For instance, Unk says that whoever drinks of my water will be deformed, disfigured, and they will not act like humans, because Manka cast me out and I will take revenge. Everything that is grown or everything that is upon Unchimanka, I will take my revenge. And so in creation, even the negative spirit will involve in creation. Sometimes some of the medicine plants, and the negative forces would make in exactly the same plant, but usually in a different, you can always tell. And so that you have to be careful. That's why we have medicine men who are experts in the herbs. They're herbalists or other means of a remedy for healing. They're the only ones that know these plants and know how to mix them together, just like pharmacy. And we as common human, we cannot do that. We don't know which plant that needs for our healing purpose. And so that's why we really need those people. Just like we need a pharmacy who makes pills for a different sickness. Okay. And so that's what has happened during the time of our creation story. The creation is comes in a slow process of, as today, as we see Manka today, and as we are progressing as well within that realm or scope of today's living. Okay. And so Unk made a statement, like I said, whoever drinks of this water. And I think today we're in a process of that. Alcohol is made out of water, and so whoever drinks it, their offspring, their children, are affected by it. And today we have words like FAS and other things that, attributes to that because of that alcohol. And so her revenge is continued today. And that's why we have the turtle and the salamander to protect the children. And a long time ago, they don't understand that. So they usually have that. And they usually say the twins come to, they come in pairs, that the negative forces, which one is the real, which human is the real one that will be here in this world. So the Bear Nation always, send us twins to of a level of a playing field, even, because usually the negative forces attack a single children. So they have that plan, you know, and we have natural ways of confront these negative forces, just like the cottonwood tree. They said Iya and the negative Ikto and others are afraid of the branches of the cottonwood. You know, sometimes if you take a piece of that and wave it, when you heard them or seen them or their presence, then they say they usually run away or they don't like loud noises. So those are the things that has been taught to the family. Get ready for that. Even into the spirit trail, they're there trying to entice those who are traveling in a spiritual trail. They usually wanted him to come back. Why don't you come back? And it's a good place. And why you're doing this? And sometimes some our beloved do that, and they come back to this earth and suffer. So usually we have ceremonies to go along with their journey into the spirit world. Okay, we'll talk about those later into our classes, but I thought I'd mention that so you'll be aware of it. And so there's a lot of things in a spiritual sense that is happening. And our ancestors knew this, and I'm sure they're trying to tell those things to us as we are in this world. And sometimes when you forget, things happen. Even in other cultures, all of these things are happening because we were once half. World was created half water, mini, and or water, or makha, or earth. And everyone were at one time a group of people, Pteoyate. But today, when the Pangea started, or the continent splits, a lot of this were come out in different areas. So sometimes some of the cultures are almost exactly like ours. If you look at the flags, they're just almost same, you know. Or they have their ceremonies almost exactly like some of the tribe ceremonies, you know. And that's what happens. Finally figure out if we split them, maybe a lot of things that are happening, you know, would be less. And Unchimaka could continue as what she was created for, is to give life and nurture. Because I talked on this before, that from the blood of Iya, there are three things that come out that goes into all creation. There's good and bad in the blood of Iya. And so it goes to all creation. And that's why we always say when we pray, Mitakuye Oyase, we include all creation because of the blood of Iya. We are Wichowe, as they usually call, of the same blood. And that's why we call our Creator Tonkashila, a relative. We talk of our Creator as a relative. So we're almost equal with our Creator, except that He's spiritual and we're physical. Okay? We don't bow down and worship our Creator, but we address Him as a relative. That when you talk to your fathers, in a way, you know, you talk, if you need something, you almost talk to them like pleading, you know, or some in that area. But Tonkashila is the one that we talk to, and through the forces of others that are created, you know, we're given energy in return to do things. So if we're healthy, we could do everything. We could gain wealth. Some say, and we chose on His wealth, and also, but some say we chose on His health, if you have health, you can gain wealth, okay? And that's your responsibility. And that's what we need to go back to, is be responsible people as we were before. We never have any luxuries like we have today. Long time ago, everybody is responsible and healthy, and that's why they have what in gaining wealth, you know. But there are things that are there that, you know, we share, we honor one another, and that's what keep our our life in our ways exist till today. Of course, there are things that happen that, but we still continue as Lakota people. I think it was in 1883 the offensive law was enacted, and once again the missionary carried that, and they do a pretty good job of they always say, take the spirit out of the Lakota people, take the man out of the Lakota people, so that we can gain access to the land. And it happened. So 1883 to 1978 or 9, we finally were free to do our ceremonies. It takes a long time, but we still maintain it. Went underground, and they're still practicing it. Like in World War I, a person named Darkface here in Rosebud, Dokpaza, still maintained that. He did a sun dance, even though it was outlawed. He cared for his warriors, his young men, so he did that for them, World War I. And so a lot of things went underground and still practiced until 1979. And now we're practicing mostly all of our ceremonies, of cultural customs, our cultural things out in open now, you know. But still, I'm pretty sure some still look over their shoulders, you know, see if we're still oppressed by some other institution. So it takes a while, and yet still we are still Lakota people here today. Our language addresses that we are still Lakota people. And so from the beginning of the creation to here, there's one here, but we're here today. And I said before, a lot of other cultures almost similar to us, other tribes, the New Zealand or other tribes in Indies or the Afghanistans or the Iraq, they're tribes that still practice some of the things that happened during this time and even today, okay? They practice inipi all throughout the whole culture. Those that some made it so that, you know, inside of a cave. And I'm pretty sure I'm claustrophobic, so it's hard for me to get into tight places. Somehow I survive inipi, you know, I don't know why. But fear of small places. So that's why I could have been an astronaut, but I'm the fear of tight places, and I was training. And so this is how Lakota people look in the past. Remember some of the things. I heard stories like this when I was young, every winter time. And this is a long story. It takes about almost a week for Grandpa to tell our creation story. I usually picture it just like we see TV. I picture the things that are happening, and I usually put them in order, or my own system, how the creation is. And I usually picture it as they talk. But unfortunately, I was young, so I fell asleep almost 2/3 of the way, or sometimes halfway. And I wish I would have stayed up and listened to the whole story. But what I know, and as Grandpa taught, even Grandma always talk about some of the stuff that is in there, the women side of the Lakota people, okay, how they were created, what ceremonies they do, you know, and so I understand that part as well, you know. And there's a lot of ceremonies that we have that, you know, Lakota people use. And we usually have ceremonies for stillborn. It's only about 15 minutes, or ceremonies for twins that are coming, or if one of them goes back into the spirit world, we have ceremonies. I did that for my daughter. We have twins, and she died, so we went to Bear Butte and do a ceremony, you know, for my daughter, thanking her that I know she went back to Bear Butte, because they say that's where the twins come from, Bear Butte. You seldom see a bear with one cub, usually 2 or 3, and so that's where they said they come from, and they go back to that, and they come back again, and they go back. One of them is a worker, or sometimes they stay till they're old, but eventually one will go back. So we have ceremonies in that sense. And also did a ceremony for a stillborn. One of the daughters will have to have triplets, but 2 didn't make it. They were devastated, so I had to go over to the hospital. And they let me smudge a little bit. And the nurses and doctors were there. I don't know if they're there to help me or curiosity, but they were there. And so we have a little ceremony, and they're all right with that. 2 went back, and 1 came. Only 1 was alive. And so we have ceremonies. We have even ceremony of calling back the spirit of children. See, when you take a small child out into the wilderness, you have to call them their name 4 times, so the spirit will come back with the children. Okay, that's why they gave them Lakota names when they were still in the mother's womb. They gave them a name, and when they were born, they were given another. And so we have a lot of names as we grow up. And there are ceremonies for everything until it's a time that we can talk and understand, usually at 12 years old. And then gradually we move away from our parents into adulthood, okay? And I'm sure other institutions are doing the same, you know, baptizing them, giving them names with water, because remember, it's half water and there's a spirit in it, but cannot exist in the water. So he came out and formed a dome around Unchimaka and call it Shka. And even in English, we call that sky. It's blue sky, blue dome, because it said blood of Ea was blue. And that's why when we come out, we're called Wichasha, humankind. Wichasha means humankind. A male is called Wicha, okay, and Wea. And if you take the W out of Wea, it's Ea, a creator, okay. The blood flows from them, and they're special and they're powerful at certain time of the month, okay. We'll go into those later on, but thought I brought it up so you'll get a glimpse of what we're going to learn as we progress in this class. There are many things that is happening during our creation story, and there are a lot of books written, but you really do need to read it in a Lakota thought, you know. Take the Lakota language and translate it into Lakota again to really have an understanding of our creation story, okay? Even today we say we speak the Lakota language, but we really do need to translate our philosophy from that and live that. Okay? We have certain words that really addresses a lot of things, but we don't use that. Because someday I'm going to put those words on a board and call it a word of the day, and you will look for those meanings out in your community, see it still exists. If not, we may have to relearn our language in a Lakota thought pattern. Okay? And today I'm talking in English, so how you understand the English and the English thought pattern is what you will understand, because it has more deeper in-depth of our creation story. Once you understand our language, the language, then it's easy, it's simple, it's a way of life, a simple way of life using a Lakota language, And that's where laughter, humors come in, We Lakota people always laugh at everything, but it's a laughter of something. It may be laughter of pain or laughter of a trauma or a death. We still laugh. Or we are hurt, we laugh, Or if somebody did something good, we laugh. And that laughter keeps us in a philosophy way of life. That's an energy that come out to give us a positive energy to understand our way of life. So it's easy and simple life if you understand the Lakota language. Okay? I think as Ron was saying, we only have about 200 some speakers. Okay? Of course, they may speak the language, but is it a language that keep us together as it happened a long time ago? We have certain words that really give us energy, give us pride, make us look, we're beautiful, handsome, or girls, very pretty. It's a compliment, one word that really give us energy to be part of living the Lakota way of life. Through our ceremonies, of course. Like I said, we do have a lot of ceremonies that, and some are simple, probably about, in English time frame, probably about 15 minutes. Because Lakota people always, have to be on the lookout. When the guns were introduced, that's when things began to shake our way of life. We have to be always on the lookout in case somebody will shoot from far away and take our life. Okay, so a lot of our ceremonies out in open spaces are short. And I know most of the ceremonies, I did perform some of them. But I'm not a medicine man, I'm just a person trying to live like Ron here, a simple life as he understands it. And as I understand it, life, I try to live that way. But there are things out there that we really need to bring back for our own way of life, and this is one of them, is the creation story of a long time ago. How the hell got his dream, or what is Wakina, okay? We know the thunder as Wakina. But long time ago, during the time of the dinosaurs, we exist. So Wakina means something like productical. I've seen pictures, if there were pictures of that Wakina, but you know how they fly and they look real dangerous. And I'm sure they pick up humans and eat them right in front of them. And so they're scared. When they see one coming, their brain somehow went and they become different, shock or something, and they become a contrary. So Wakina is like that as well. So the description of Wakina would also fit the dinosaur birds. I didn't even know how to pronounce those names. But my grandchildren did. They have all kinds of dinosaurs. They know the name. Triclosycop or whatever it is that they, or those other words for dinosaurs. And some of our words describe the dinosaurs, like Kokeachala. And what's Kokeachala, Ron?
Nowadays, that's a chicken.
Okay, today is a chicken. But it says Kokea. So it must be a dinosaur. Anla is acting like Kokea. Okay, so what prehistoric animal looks like a chicken today? It might be a raptor or something. So that means the Lakota people live that long to know. And so now the chicken, when they see it, it's a kokea, but it acts like the kokea. Okay. So we have words that describe long time ago. And we exist during those dinosaur days. So kokea, that's a chicken, because somebody said that. But if you really look at it, it's a kokea. Anla means acting like a kokea. So whatever dinosaur looks like a chicken at that time, so that's why describing the domestic chickens that we have here. And so things happen to create, and we still have this. I think today everybody's a heoka. Maybe they don't fully understand it, or maybe it's something that it's a new fad that's going on. And we also have the dog. And that's why they always call us dog eaters. But last week I think I told a story of how we have to have the dog eat it, but usually in a ceremonial. It's a ceremonial thing that's why we have to give thanks to that dog nation, because they save a nation from dying, the dog nation. And that's what they told him. They told him how to kill them. And then, so every time they have a ceremony and that person is healthy, then they do a Thanksgiving remembering the dog nation. Okay, and they cook that dog in a special way and have that presented to the spirits, that they still remember the time when the dog nation saved a whole group of people from starvation. Okay, and it's a ceremony. It's a ceremonial time. Of course, we know Ksa is the wisdom. And we also have another one. Sometimes he pretends like Sa and got Sa in trouble, and he become Ikto, the trickster, as we know. So we know that we can change from good to bad very quickly because of certain words that use at Ksa, and that made him change his outlook in life. He was a spirit, part of the realm of the congregation of spirits, but he changed because of Ksapila. Little wisdom. And today we use that as well. A long time ago, we looked at a person, how that he or she lives, and all of a sudden, in older times, waka, and then he have wisdom. He stand in front of people and talk, and people said, waka ekta ksapilalo. Oka ekta ksapila. At late age, old age, he become and have wisdom, just like Sapila. But through experiences, I'm sure, a person, he or she, understand the outlook of life and now change and began have the wisdom to tell the people how it is, you know. Okay, let's get into things that we talk. There's many things that information here, and there are times I forget most of them, but hopefully I'll give you some of the information that you might be able to think about or do a research and this kind of stuff, you know. So you call me instructor or professor, but what I usually call myself is a person who gives information, you know. So there's room for improvement or room for research. And Wopre is, today we use that as law, okay? But Wopre is a person, as was described, as a beautiful woman who gives guidance and assurance and comfort in a way that, you know, it makes wants you to exist in that way. So maybe that's why they call it law today. Law is supposed to give you that a guidance in a way that you want to exist within that structure of law today. But I don't know. And so in our legends, as they call it, or myth, as they call it, but we believe that Wopre is the one that brought the pipe to the Lakota people. It was getting where that Lakota people were now into a deeper things that is not right for the spirits, because we have a choice. We have a choice either to do negative things or positive things. And that was our choice. But sometimes we go over, and then the spirit steps in. You know, no, this is not right, you know. And that's when Maka sent out signals. And if that's still going on, and then changes happen, in a way, earthquakes or whatever is necessary to get attention and continue. So we have stories of how when we come up from the Black Hills and into the physical world, and we don't know nothing until when a pipe is brought. But there are evidence in stories of long time ago, people, when they're to be sacrificed or beheaded for the blood, I don't know, there's a time when they created their own deities and their own ceremonies in some other cultures. So it may happen to us at that time in this period, probably Dark Ages or whatever it is. And so we probably are in that mode, sacrificing people. They paint them red ochre, and they call that shaichia, to make the person red. Today we use that, but for powwows. Shaichia, we put on our regalia, usually red colors, and so when we're doing that, we probably went into the children and women, because when a pipe was brought, that's first thing we'll address is to the women and to the children. Okay. And so a change have to be made rather than have Unchimaka, you know, destroy itself and replace or renew himself in a fourth phase. And so that was brought throughout the whole world. Change was made at that time, you know. And so today, the color red is a reminder that we will never go back to the time when those things were happening. Painted a person red, women or children, and they're proud, they're happy. Hey, I'm gonna die for you. They're gonna cut my head off and blood will spill. Hey, you guys are gonna live. You know, they were so doctrinated, that's how they feel. You know, they're going to die, they're not going to exist, but they were happy about it. I'm not going to be happy about it if they paint me red, you're going to die. You know, I'm going to do everything in my power to get out of that. And I'm sure most of you will do. But today it's now began to happen, you know, killing each other, hang themselves, or this kind of stuff. We're getting back into a little bit into that situation once again. But they told us when you kill yourself, you're not going to go to the spirit world. You're going to stay here. And you're going to cry, knock on the windows of your families. But they're going to do a ceremony, going to put you away someplace, maybe overseas where you don't know anybody. And that will be the toughest thing that would happen to anybody. Probably stand along the shore of the ocean as a spirit, trying to come back, but you can't. And that's one of the torturous things that would ever happen to a spiritual being, you know. And so these are the consequences, and it's been told, you know, families should know that. You cannot take your own life.
I had an incident that happened to me Sunday night, probably, right after 3 o'clock in the morning. My daughter and I were sleeping, and I had my window open, and I just woke up and I heard like a woman coming right outside my window. I mean, it really scared me and stuff, so I just shut my window and curtains and stuff. And said a prayer or whatever, but I just, like, it stayed with me through that whole day.
Usually happens, you know, one, you know, probably killed himself and trying to need help to get into the spirit world. But they don't know that, you know, so now they come to us, but we don't know that, and we're scared and do something to get them away.
It didn't sound like they were in distress or anything. It sounded like they were just like singing or humming to themselves or trying to comfort me, or I don't know.
They will do that until, you know, somehow we don't want that around, and we do something. Sometimes best to, if you come in a good way, I will accept that. But if you come in a bad way, please don't come. You know, just as you're talking to a person. That's all you could say. And sponge it with sage. And if it's a good person trying to tell you something, eventually you will know, but he or she will never do that again. But it's a bad spirit, it will continue. Now you make connections, so he or she will always. And so sometimes they become evil. If a blood is spilled, nobody take care of it. They'll stay there until nobody, and then become evil, bad. We have word for evil, but they become bad spirit, and they're trying to take somebody, or remember that Iuchmi, that stroke, they will do that.
I didn't hear or feel anything last night. But all day yesterday, probably felt about Humankind.
It's usually best to tell them to come in a good way. I have children or those, you know, please help me with those. Okay, if you're coming a bad way, you know, I would rather you go someplace. Yeah, so it's really bad when a person takes its own life, or a person died and the blood is spilled. We have ceremonies to address those, you know. We need to know that. So sometimes they're out in the road and continue to be destructive. Especially a person who knows, you know, and they want to take that person. Or take a little one, because they're already connected with the spirit, you know. So they want to take a little child and take them with them, hoping to get into the spirit world. But sometimes it doesn't work. Okay, and so we're into that, and so now a change has made corrected. So now we don't sacrifice ourselves. But the color red is a symbolic way. In ceremonies, you can see that red stick with half black, okay? On the north side, there's a red. So when we look at that, we know to never go back to that again, okay? So it's important that it's in the ceremonies. So that's why they put that in the ceremony. And so red is a symbolic, but something happened a long time ago that was very destructive and really shake up our structure of a family, you know. So sometimes they said the red road, I looked for it, but I never could find. I asked people, but nobody knows the red road. You know, it's probably some kind of religious thing, but it's a good. It works for some. Then I don't mind the red road. But to me, red road is symbolic. We'll never go back to that time when sacrificing. So if you look in the history of Lakota people, I mean, tribes all over, they are doing that. They color each other red, so you can. Then you walk around the community all red, and knowing other will know, okay, he's going to die for us so we can live, you know, that kind of stuff. And so when the pipe was done, that was change. That's probably like the Mayan calendars. Their way probably changed, the way of life. They're all scattered now. And the pipe was brought. We'll talk about that when we go. The origins of why the pipe was here, okay? The origin story of pipestone. There's a big fight. Blood was spilled. Unchimaka filtered 4 times until the red rock. It's sort of filtered so it's pure, but it still have the good and bad in that rock. It's pure. So when they made into a pipe, the pipe has that power. It's good and bad. You can use it for bad, and you can use it for good. So it's a choice that we have, okay? We'll talk about that later on as we go. So Wo is a spiritual person who comes to a physical world to present a spiritual gift to us physical beings, okay?
I had a question on God. I think I might have heard you say something about a dark place.
Yeah.
What was that, a spirit?
Yeah, dark phases are people of medicine, a powerful lives in Corn Creek and North area a long time ago. Itokpaza. And he performed a Sundance during the Prohibition, if I'm going to say it, or when all of our ceremonies, when they're underground from 1883, BIA regulation called offensive law that was passed, and everything that is first ceremony to be abolished was inipi throughout the whole world. Every tribe does inipi. You got to abolish that. Why is it grown people all naked going into a little thing and I don't know what they're doing? Let's abolish that. That's sin, you know. So it happened. And then comes the other ceremonies, Hambalechia, Sundance, were all. So if you're caught practice one here in South Dakota, they'll take you to Deadwood, year and a day. If you're doing Vision Quest, they take you to Canton as a mental institution. A lot of people die there. Yeah, well, Itokpa was the one that took the chance and do Sundance during World War I for the warriors. Yeah, so things happen like that. And that's why they move all the ceremonies late at night. And that's why they call them devil worshippers, because they practice. But a lot of our ceremonies are done in daytime. Healing, spirits come during daytime, and everything. But because of that, they do everything late at night, way out in the country or something, afraid of the Indian police, you know. They really carry that around.